Audio check. Audio check. Ah, working. Alright, let's get started then. So, I'm not sure whether anybody will be hearing this. But essentially what we're going to be doing is I'll be showing how to use navigation in Flight Simulator. So, I do have some experience with this, both in real life and quite a bit more in the Flight Simulator. So, yeah, I'll probably be able to give you some overview as to what's going on and how to do it. So for this flight, we'll be flying from a pretty small airport just over the German border by the Netherlands, which is called Stadloon Vreden. So that's with the airport code Echo Delta Lima Sierra. And from there we'll be flying to the Dutch Waddeneiland of Texel, which is Echo Hotel Tango X-Ray. It shouldn't be too long of a flight. We'll be doing it in the Cessna 152, just because it's a nice slow aircraft, and it's got a full navigation suite, so that will be helpful with getting things going. I'm just going to quickly check whether I have anything over here. No, I don't. So let's get going then. So firstly, let's go over the route that I've come up with. So I'm making use of this website called SkyVector to determine the route really. So what we'll be going over is we'll be going over an ADF, which is automatic direction finding, and over a VOR. So firstly we'll do the automatic direction finder because that's the easiest to understand. So when we depart from Vreden, we'll be flying straight to Teugen airfield, and they have got an automatic direction finder beacon over here. That's this dotted one, and the way to tune into it is on code 3901. I'll show you in a minute how to punch that into the aircraft. So yeah, let's put this one over here, then I can see the chat as well. Yeah, so this is the automatic direction finder beacon that you can fly towards, and you can punch it into the aircraft. And then from there we'll be flying to Spijkerboor, which is actually a VOR beacon, which is also used for the approach path towards Schiphol. And from there we'll be flying fully visual up to Texel. So the first two waypoints of the flight will be more quasi-instrument flight, full instrument flight rules, because we'll be taking some shortcuts here and there, but in the basis it will be more flyable in zero or in low visibility conditions, whereas the bit from Spijkerboor we will need some visibility for that. So firstly, when we depart from Stadloon, we will have to be taking a 293 course. So let me quickly load up the aircraft. Yep, there we are. Let's reset. Let's also reset this one. Oops. Oh yeah, that was a reset. Yeah. So let's begin by disabling the yokes. And we will first of all, we'll get started with the battery. Yep, and now that the battery is on, we can switch on the strobe light and the beacon light, so that the people outside know that we are going to be getting some action going on pretty soon. Okay. So, as I said, we'll be taking a course of 292. So that's when, first of all, let's take a look then at what the departure from Echo Delta Lima Sierra traffic looks like. So this is the departure chart. It's a fairly old one, but it's still pretty much up to date. We'll probably be taking off from runway 11, and then we'll fly the left-hand pattern just before the city, and then we'll be flying straight out towards the rear, and then we should already be on a 29er course. And then when we are flying out, when we get to a little bit of altitude, we'll be tuning into the automatic direction finder over at Teugen at 391. We can already punch that into the automatic direction finder. That's the thing down here. So 391. This is the automatic direction finder indicator. Nothing is happening yet over there because it's not picking up the signal because we are too low on the ground. And because, well, essentially, as an aircraft follow the curvature of the Earth, and the signal is going in a straight line. So right now we are below the signal, so we can't see it. Okay, well then let's start her up. Fuel valve, nav light, that one is on. Mixture rich, give it a quick prime, crack a throttle, and we should be running. So as I said, we'll be taking some shortcuts in both the navigation and also in the aircraft operation. It's really to show the way how to do the navigation. Let's switch the alternator on as well. let's taxi to the active runway, disengaging parking brake. So here we go. We should be able to make this turn. So as I said, I'm using the Cessna 152 here because it's a slow airplane, and also the way in which you can see the avionics is nicely spread out, and it's not as cluttered as it can be sometimes on AG 1000 cockpit. Also, I'm not using the actual live weather because then probably would be raining or storming. Pretty heavy weather we've got going on currently. In the Netherlands. So I'm just using the Microsoft default view cloud setting, which is well, really nice for this purpose. As I said, when we take off, we'll be heading in the direction that we are actually traversing down the taxiway right now. And we'll be climbing to about 3,000 to 4,000 feet, I think, which is actually a deviation of what you should be doing when you're under official flight rules in the Netherlands, because then you should be sticking below 1,500 feet. So that's your first big deviation from what we should be doing. But again, it's really to show the navigation aids. Also, I'm not tuned into air traffic control in the simulator because, well, let's be honest, air traffic control in Microsoft Flight Simulator is pretty terrible. And I really couldn't care about FlatSim or any of that crap. So here we are, ready for takeoff. Let's turn off the taxi light and on the landing lights. We don't need pitot heat today, so we are ready to go. We don't need flaps either on this runway. So there we go. Right before we hit the city, which should be about now. So now turn towards a
Langen Center Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is type Cessna 152 1 miles east of Echo Delta Lima Sierra 700 feet. Request flight following.
Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Langen Center. Squawk 0327.
Squawk 0327 Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra radar. Contact 1 mile east of Echo Delta Lima Sierra 1,000 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
Okay, so that's annoying.
Roger, Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Rather annoying that we do have the air traffic control switched on. Let's see whether I can switch it on because it's annoying. I thought I switched that on. we don't see any activity yet on the automatic direction finder.
Had 78 is at flight level 215, descending 10,000 feet.
EHTX 78 Langham Center, continue as planned.
So we can actually turn on the ADF beacon here. And then when we do make contact to the ADF beacon over at Teugen, we should be able to hear the Morse code of Teugen. So let's just give it a little bit more trim so that I don't really have to hand fly it that much. That's nice. Maybe a smidge less. So for now we just maintain this heading, and as soon as we get the automatic direction finder, of course, when it is switched on, show me where it is. Let's double check that. Silly. Instruments 5. Ah, of course. I should put it to ADF. Why did it not work? Let's go to deviate our course here.
Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day.
119.175 Cessna X-ray Golf Sierra.
So let's level off at this altitude, it should be fine. You can enjoy the view, although it seems that Microsoft has a bit of a tough time today supplying the data. Some errors pretty nicely, but some others rather miserably.
KLM 1976 contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day. Decimal 175 for KLM 1976.
ADF has a bit of a tough time to cling. Let's quickly check whether we will be correct. Yeah, we got the correct code, so 3901. Not sure why it is not engaging. So, just to be sure, it's also already entered the spike of your R, so that's at 113.3U. plug that in the 115, you put it over here in. So first we must select the frequency, then we switch it to there, and then it should become active, and then you actually see it's moving. Then you turn the OBS knob the other way around because we put it in the position. Which is, well, we're a little bit to the right of that. Nothing too terrible, we're still pretty far out. We can adjust the course a little bit. Yep, that should be fine. Here, remember, there's virtually no wind. Really important that it's not engaging the automatic direction finder, to be honest. Let's see. Receive the VOR beacon from spec 4. Switch that knob again. But we get what we need. Get
Alpine 3653 contact Bremen Center on 125.1. Good day.
But we are flying in the right direction, as we know from the VOR.
125.1 Alpine 3653.
Oh, there it is. So we see that the course here. So the course should be aligned with the aircraft, and then we'll be flying straight at the. So first of all, let's do that. And then we'll switch to the spec 4 VOR right after.
Langen Center Alpine 4564 is at flight level 275, descending 10,000 feet.
Alpine 4564 Langen Center, continue as planned.
Oh, my voice should be louder. I should be able to do that. That's interesting. Don't really think that I can make my voice louder than it is, or I could mute the desktop audio a little bit. Maybe that will help with the relative noise. Now that could actually be it, because I also had that in iRacing. So let me know if this is better, or if I should turn down the airplane noise a little bit more. In the meantime, we see we have drifted a little bit from the automatic direction finder distance, so we just gently turn to the left a little bit, further, and then we... that's good, thanks. So, how are you doing? So now we again have lined up the automatic direction finder with the direction of the fuselage of this little airplane over here. So that means that we are right now flying, well, at least the heading of the orientation of the aircraft is straight towards Teugen. So again, as there's no wind in the simulation today, let's switch on the Morse code. As there is no wind in the simulation today, we won't be grabbing relatively, but otherwise you would have to account for that, and otherwise, yeah, you would be what is called trying to keep your angle, but that means that you will eventually be flying around the airport or around the ADF beacon. And then actually, because we know that Spijkerboor from our original departure point is perfectly lined up with Vrede, all at the 292 course, we can actually use our VOR now to see how far we have drifted. So we can see that we flew a little bit too far to the south, but still very much manageable. We see a little bit of drift again on the ADF. Remember, when you get closer to the ADF beacon, it gets really erratic, because then when you make a very small distance difference, the angle difference is going to be huge. So that's why it's always good to be having two devices running simultaneously.
Ryanair 6090, zero contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day.
So essentially what you should...
175 Ryanair 6090.
Air traffic control. So essentially what you are doing, for example, now we've gone fully instrument for a couple of seconds while we are flying through this cloud. And normally if you would be strict visual flight rules, you would be in trouble. So you shouldn't be doing that during your check ride, because you should never break visual conditions when you are doing a VFR flight. But again, as we are using our instruments here, we theoretically be IFR at this point.
Langham Center KLM 184 is at flight level 320, descending 10,000 feet.
KLM 184 Langham Center, continue as planned.
Yeah, you and your KLM, you go and fly at 300 meters altitude, have fun. Meanwhile, everything seems to be going just fine. And this is really the bit that's almost the most boring part of the flight. But luckily, we can already start preparing for when we get to Teugen. So let's open up our map again. So currently we are still on the first leg, so we should be somewhere in between here, between Stadloon and Teugen. As soon as we overfly the ADF at Teugen, then you will see that the automatic direction finder in the aircraft really goes erratic, because you fly straight over it. And then actually to our right we should be able to see the airport. That's always a good visual check. Then from there we actually continue on the same course, but then we will be using the automatic direction finder in the other way around. So then we will be flying away from the ADF. So then it should still be aligned with the aircraft, but then the arrow should be pointing downwards towards the rear of the aircraft. And then we'll be flying to Spijkerboor. And then at Spijkerboor we'll be turning to the north, or at least in this thing we would be turning to the north, but we will, from there on, we will be fully visual. So we'll be flying towards the coast here of Noord-Holland, and from there we'll be flying towards the north. Yeah, no worries, mate. If you ever have any questions, then please do drop me a message, and I'll gladly clarify anything. So from there we'll be doing the visual flight rules following the coast. We'll be crossing the bit at Den Helder towards Texel, flying around the island, and then we'll be flying in towards Texel. So let's quickly check how the aircraft is doing. So we've gone slightly off course, so we corrected just a little bit. Let's see what difference that makes on the VOR. Very little. We should be fine again. Can we already see an airport somewhere? I don't think so. So we actually do see a river coming up, so we can check what river that is. So that's really using the visual clues in combination with the automatic direction finding. So we know that we are right now flying straight towards Steugen, and we do see well, a bit of a meandering river over here. So from that we can deduct that we should be right at this point, because then to our left we should be seeing a small city. Well, which we do. It's always good. So we know now that we are right now at this point, so that's good to check in that we are at this point. So we are getting pretty close to Teugen Airport. We should be able to see it somewhere over there. Not yet, but it should be coming up anytime soon. And then you will see the automatic direction finding going mad. But we should be there fairly soon. It's always really satisfying when things like these line up, when it actually does work and you actually do know that you're flying the correct way. Because also it has happened in the sim that you're just flying the completely other way, and then you're like, oh, by now I would have thought I would have been at my destination, but yeah, you've literally gone the other way. Yeah, so we are right now over here somewhere, so yeah, you can already see that the ADF is getting more sensitive. I don't see the airport yet, but that's no issue to us because we won't be flying to the airport anyway. So, where was I? Yeah, so I was having a look at the map, and yeah, we'll be flying just past here over the sea, and then we'll be landing at Texel. So, for Texel, I do actually have a chart. So this is the aerodrome chart. We won't need that for now. This is the visual approach. This is the seasonal VFR approach. Yeah, you will be needing this one. So yeah, so we'll be taking the approach from the north. Let's see, can we already see the airport? Not yet, but we are drifting a little bit on the ADF. I can actually see that in the corner of my eye. You poor guys probably can't. So actually I'm not using any autopilot right now. I'm just fully trimmed out the aircraft, and I'm just manually yes, steering a little bit whenever I need to. So where is the airport? But we are, well, really on a good course when you have a look at the VOR dial, nav1 dial I should call it, which is tuned to a VOR. So we could actually also be using that as a primary navigation tool from now, but I don't really want to show you guys the ADF going crazy when we overfly it. Over there you can see the airport, so we really should be getting close to the ADF beacon, because the ADF beacon is actually a little bit to the left of the runway. When we go to Sky Factor you can see that. So over here is the runway, and over here is the ADF beacon. So we see the runway over there, so that means that we are right now exactly at this point. So that means that we have taken a little bit of a very slight course deviation, but we should be getting there very soon. That's the airport. Let's try and fly directly over the ADF beacon. But then again, you shouldn't be chasing it like a madman, because, well, it gets very sensitive, and at this point we already should be looking more at the nav1 dial, which is tuned to Spijkerboor VOR, rather than the automatic direction finder of the thing that we are, well, literally overflying. So the ADF beacon is actually located at the runway threshold. Well, actually a couple of miles in front of the runway threshold, but we should be getting there. Yeah, actually my face tracker won't don't track it anymore. So let's start focusing on the VOR. And let's see whether we can see the switch around on the ADF. Yeah, we see it's moving now. Yeah, you see it moving now? So that means that right now we're exactly overflying it. Boom! Now we've overflown it. So now actually we'll be using it as a rearward tool. And now it's completely behind us. So we'll give it another mile or so to let it stabilize, and then we'll use it as an additional navigation tool in flying away from it. So that's good to mention here, the difference between ADF and VOR. So these things are all relative to themselves. So that means that they only give you the position relative to themselves, so they don't actually give you the distance. Then you would need a DME. A Spijkerboard does have a DME, so that's distance measuring equipment, but we don't have any DME capabilities in this aircraft, so we only can use the ADF and the VOR. But what the ADF does, it's only saying I'm right here, and then it comes to Morse code and I'm right here, and then you have a beacon on the aircraft or a receiver on the aircraft that's then tuned in to that frequency, and then it determines the relative angle from the dead ahead angle of the aircraft, where to the aircraft and what direction it is. Whereas a VOR is actually able to determine a radial, so that's where this thing comes in. You see, you turn it a little bit, and when it's fully aligned in the center, you can see that the radial to which we're flying should be 290, and well, not really unexpectedly, our heading is 290, and we can always cross-check that with the magnetic compass over here, and that's also at just above 290, so that's nice. It's doing just fine, and now we're actually flying straight away from the ADF, so we can then tell that we've just passed this point and that we are right now on this course over here, and we should actually be beginning to look outside the window to see when we are getting close to Flevoland. Can't see it yet, maybe a little bit over there, but nothing too spectacular just yet. So then let's go back to the approach into Texel that we'll be taking. So we'll be flying around the north side of the island, because I like the approach a little bit more, because it allows you to fly just by the Koksdorp, which is really stupid ATC.
Airfront 185, one lane and center, continue as planned.
Because it allows you to fly.
Airfront 1851, contact Amsterdam Center on 119.175. Good day.
Shut up. So it allows you to fly just past the Koksdorp, and that's really nice in terms of visual references as to what you will be flying towards. So just let's make sure that we're not going too much off course here. So now we'll actually be using the heading indicator a little bit more for reference. Oh, we actually saw a little bit of magnetic drift on the, no, not magnetic drift, inertial drift on the heading, on the horizontal situation indicator. Although I'm not sure whether that's correct. What's going on here? I don't think it's set correctly. So let's focus on getting the radial correct relative to the ADF. So that's right in our rear. And then let's tune the ADF. Not sure whether... Ah, now that's better again. Yeah, that should be fine. So we are now approaching Flevoland. We can actually see that. So right now, we're about here. No, I'm actually questioning myself. No, this hasn't got an ADF. I was going to say something. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Shut up. Just leave it there. Now I was going to think, do we have an ADF over here? But of course we don't, because we don't have this dotted circle around it. And again, also for a VR beacon, the closer you get to it, the more nervous it's going to get. So again, when you know that you're getting pretty close to it, don't change it like a madman. We actually could have used Amsterdam down here as another waypoint, but I don't really like overflying this area, because then you would be getting pretty close to the Amsterdam, to the Schiphol airport or controlled area, and in real life when you fly in there, yeah, that's not what you'll want to do, and also you will annoy the guys in the tower. I don't think we'll be having any further ADFs along the route, so it's really going to be dead ahead here from towards Spijkerboor, and then from Spijkerboor we can actually tune into the Den Helder VOR. We can already do that on our secondary navigation dial, so that's at 115.55. Let's sure we keep our course, so that's always why you It's also always why you have information such as this on your kneeboard, and you wouldn't be having that in something that's completely taking away your view of the instruments. And also in real life you feel it. And actually what you could do in Flight Simulator Land as well is, if you've got an iPad or another tablet, is you open up the Sky Factor on there and then essentially you use the tablet as an electronic kneeboard. Yeah, so we are going to tune into the Den Helder VOR, which is at 115.55. So we put that into this one. Oh, what's the other? No, 115.55. We enter it, and then we should see some activity over here. Then we can check whether it's indeed the correct VOR beacon by listening into it. By hitting that button, and we get indeed dot 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 dot. Then, yep, so it's the correct VOR. Don't need to listen to Morse codes all along the way. And then we can use this thing to determine a direction. It should be towards drifting again. Don't want to be doing that. So we're getting almost at the point where we've drifted so far away from the VOR beacon. No, sorry, from the VOR radial, that it would make sense to recalibrate our heading again. So let's again tune towards Den Helder. Yep, so Den Helder is now at heading 315 from us, which you can actually use this to triangulate your position as well. So we know that right now we are at 290 degrees from Spijkerboor and 315 degrees from Den Helder, so that means we are at 315 from Den Helder. That's about, I have to think, this is 360, this is 270, so that's right bang in the middle, around there, and then we should be just about above Flevoland, which we are, of course. So actually we can see here, and that's going to be the visual reference that we take. We have this city over here, and we have the shore moving very squared over here. So that means that we know that we are exactly over here. Great stuff. So actually we also should be able to see Lelystad Airport when we look out our right window. Not yet though, it seems. Let's make sure we don't drift too far, which we can do. Still, we are going to make sure that we keep our radial towards Spijkerborn. We're just using the Den Helder VR beacon later along in the route, when we will be flying slightly towards Den Helder. But then again, we wouldn't really need it because we'll have plenty of visual cues. But it's nice to show how it works. Do we already see Lelystad? Not yet. I don't think so. So then, of course, by the magic of flight simulation, whenever you don't exactly know anymore where you are, you can always hit the V key to show up the VFR map. But try not to. It's really fun to figure out where you are this way. And it actually teaches you a lot more. Oh, over there is Lelystad Airport. And it actually teaches you a whole lot more about what's going on in the navigation. So you can actually see that we are drifting a little bit on the below one, actually a little bit more than on the top one, as you would expect, because we are still flying towards Spijkerborn. Actually should be a little bit more on heading towards the left, more like 287 we should be at. So let's have to slightly adjust. There we are. Now we should be flying again, dead ahead towards Spijkerborn. And now, yeah, our information from the automatic direction finder back at Teugen is getting less and less important, so we don't really need to be paying attention to that anymore. And actually from here on you should be able to fully do it on visual cues. Can you see that? So we are really getting a little bit more drift now on the radial towards Den Helder. Yep, so there we have Lelystad Airport right to our right. So we can check it off. We are right now over here. So actually, we should be able to see perhaps. No, I don't think it's correctly rendering that in, is it? And we've also got this huge cloud in front of it. Otherwise, we would have been able to see the skyline of Amsterdam. But as I said, I'm getting a bit of the idea that Microsoft is having a bit of a tough time to uplink the data to us. Or it's my crappy internet, I don't know. Ah, and actually now we see that we've gone fully out of range on the ADF. So that's actually a very good way of doing navigation in a very easy way. It's by flying ADF to ADF. It's a very crude way, I can call it, because you are pretty much using the oldest navigation aid that's available, apart of course from visual cues. Actually, I'm gonna grab a quick drink. Already got a drink here, non-alc, of course. Don't drink and fly. Stupid. So right now we are leaving Flevoland again, and then we'll be taking this short trip around across. Well, I think it's still the IJsselmeer, or is it another part? Or is it an I? I'm not sure. Across the water. Let's not drift. Screen freeze. Should still be good. So perhaps it's good to show when we get to Spijkerboor, what you theoretically, of course, could do is fly straight west towards the coast and then follow the course northwards. But as you can see, we don't drift. No, we don't drift. That's good. As you can see, there's this line over here, so that's part of the Amsterdam control of the Schiphol controlled area. That's because of these two runways over here. So they actually have their approach path coming in from the north. You can't land on this runway when you come from the south. You can only use it towards the north and from the north. That's because of well, nobody living down here, but hey, that's how politics works. Ooh, I must have pissed off a lot of people with that statement. Anyway, so you can't fly in there because then the controls will get angry with you. So instead what we'll be doing when we get to Spijkerboor, we'll fly first a little bit towards the north around this city. I believe that is Castricum, I think so, and then we'll overfly Castricum towards the sea, and then we'll be heading north. And as I said, from Spijkerboor we'll be fully visual. And actually a fun thing to note, in real life you can actually see, when you're low enough you can actually see these VR beacons, because these are huge things, like they're huge concrete blocks, and you can actually visually see them. Actually, right at the beginning of the pandemic there were these idiots who would set these things on fire or vandalize them because they thought they were spreading viruses. Yeah, now to ask me why. So yeah, I really don't understand why people enjoy flying on a GPS so much. Essentially you're doing nothing. At least now you still have to do some navigation. Imagine being in your 777. Yeah, we need to be at 280 to get to correctly towards Spijkerboor. Imagine being in your 777 and doing a transatlantic flight. You hit on the autopilot, you essentially get the navigation being managed by the FMS. Nothing you have to do. Might as well go to sleep or go playing around a golf or do whatever. We don't get it. So you can see that we've actually drifted quite a bit from the Den Helder VOR, so we can actually reset it again so that we have a little bit more of information as to where we are. Yep, so Den Helder is now at 330, where it first was at around 300. So that's we should be around here, which again is true. We are just now approaching this point over here. And that's this tip. I believe that's Volendam. Yeah, I think so. Urk is on the other side. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That's where we get the eels in the Netherlands. And a lot of terrible music also comes from that place. Again, pissing people off. I like doing this stuff. Fly a little bit further to the right because we are really losing our track towards Spijkerboor now. We don't want that to happen. Yeah, you can really see it's getting more sensitive now that we're getting really close to it. Yeah, I was just playing a little bit with my tracking device. I'm actually just using my phone to track. I think the app is called Smooth Track. I think it's just a couple of bucks in the App Store. And it's yeah, really making flying a whole lot easier and also more immersive. So what's this city that we're overflying right now? So actually, we've just overflown Volendam, so actually we are a little bit too far to the right it seems, but that's not too big of a worry. What's our radial towards Den Helder? Let's see, doing fine. So again we are now here. Yeah, we should be around here somewhere. So we are really getting pretty close now to Spijkerboor. So that's also the point where the Spijkerboor VOR gets less reliable because you get so close to it again. Small movements in your position make a huge difference in the angle of the thing, just like you also had with the automatic direction finder. So that also means with the VOR, whenever you're overflying it, it's switching around. But again, it's a little bit more of an advanced system than the ADF. So we should be getting pretty close to Spijkerboor now. So Spijkerboor should now be exactly to our west. We have drifted quite a bit actually, I see. Or is that the thing again? Piggy wonky. Can't even fully exclude that. Yeah, in reality you don't get that much drift, I don't really understand what's happening there. So let's just fly fully towards the west. That's actually also why in real life you should be checking whether your heading indicator is still synced up with your magnetic compass every 15 minutes or so. Especially when you're doing heavy maneuvering, you should be doing it more frequently. So now we are actually flying straight towards the west, but we can already see that Spijkerboor. Yeah, for Spijkerboor we should be further towards the south, which we won't be doing, because as I said, I don't want to be, so we are right now around here. We should be around here. That's actually true, because this is the city. We are now flying in a western direction towards Spijkerboor, so we are right here right now. So what we will be doing instead, whenever we get the switch around at Spijkerboor, we'll be heading towards the north. We'll be going 360, and then as soon as we get Castricum to our left, which is I believe this city up here, we'll overfly Castricum towards the shoreline, and then fly north towards Texel. Can we already see Texel? No, we can't, because there's a huge cloud in the way. You really see the ADF is moving very quickly. So that means that we are now flying past the VUR. I mean, of course, not the ADF. The VUR is getting very erratic. So that means that we are right now flying past Spijkerboor. Almost directly to our south. When it's to our south, we will we know that we have gone too far. Let's see, let's track it. Oh, there she goes. So let's switch around towards the north, because we don't want to be entering the Amsterdam TMA. So, for the first time this flight, we are not flying at a 290 course, but more towards the north. Pretty efficient, I would call that. So from here on, we can do that in a minute. We can again check our radial towards Den Helder VUR on the bottom nav indicator. So, first exam question. Why, now that I've turned towards Den Helder, why isn't this needle, this vertical line here, why isn't it going towards the center? It should be in the center, right? Because I'm right now heading, what, directly towards Den Helder. Why? Well, because it's a VUR beacon, it doesn't do that. It's because if you would think that's the case, then you would be confusing it with an ADF beacon. In fact, it's giving you the radial, so whenever we now turn the knob, we can get it to the center again. So let's see. Where are we? So we've right now got Spijkerboor towards our rear. We can check that. Yeah, we can check that. Hello, can I get my cursor? Yes, thank you. Yes, we are full. Let's see whether we can get it towards the north. Yes, my cursor, please. Yep, there we are. So we are almost perfectly north of Spijkerboor at, I would call that 0040 degrees. So that's fine. Exactly where we want to be. So we are yeah, just a little bit towards the right here, but that's fine. We are right now about here. We should also be seeing a little lake of some sort. Could that be it? No, I don't think so. It's too small for it. So it should be north of Castricum. Yeah, we probably won't be able to see that just yet. So it also really helps if you know the area to do the navigation around. Now you can actually see the railway over there, so that's going to be Castricum. If it isn't, there's one guy now going completely nuts, saying, "No, you idiot! That's not Kastriken. That's whatever it actually is." Yeah, when we get past these clouds, we'll be flying more towards the coastal area, because otherwise we'll end up on the other side of the lake, which will be here, which would be fine, but yeah, we want to take the northerly route. Yep, we're out of the clouds, so now we're going to turn towards the west. And actually from this point I'm really not bothered anymore with the VORs. Because I was going to say we are fully visual the moment he flies into a cloud. This is the bit where you get a slap on the head from your flying instructor. Actually, the Zandvoort racetrack is a little bit towards that way, just past Schiphol. So it seems that the aircraft already wants to turn towards the north itself, really. Which is fine in this case, so we'll just let it. Because we want to be following the shoreline over there, just towards the north. We can actually retune our VOR towards Den Helder. Let's see where Den Helder is. Yeah, a little bit past the north now, but it really is right over there. Don't sink into the sea too far. not open window above 143 knots indicated airspeed. So I could open the window now. I wouldn't. But according to the writing on the door, you could. It really is amazing that you can now just do full VFR flying anywhere in the world. It's Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator really has got its shortcomings at the moment, but overall it's really incredible what these guys have come up with. So now we can turn towards the north to follow the shoreline. And actually what you would really wanting to do, well, probably already right now, is already lose a bit of altitude. Again, as I said, in the Netherlands you can't be VFR below 1,500 feet. So let's already descend a little bit, because well, the airport will be pretty close to sea level. It's the Netherlands after all. So let's just take advantage of our altitude and just trade it in a little bit of speed, so that we get there a little bit quicker. And again, I'm not pushing down on my controls at all. I'm just giving it a little bit of downward trim. So that's Den Helder over here. Let's not drift too far. So this is Den Helder over here, and that's the island of Texel. This is Bergen aan Zee. It's got big. So literally translate that would be mountains at the sea, but yeah, I don't see any mountains, and neither do you. So again, that's a complete lie. It lies in the brochure. I want a refund. So let's hop inside again. And let's see what our radial is now towards Den Helder. So what will we expect it to be? So right now we are about here. So the VRI beacon is right over there. There-ish. So we would expect it to be towards 010. Let's see how wrong we are. But it's actually drifting because we are flying right past it. No, we don't have a visual model, do we? I don't think we do. But that's fine. Because we'll have plenty of visual references for the remainder of the flight. So actually the airstrip over here in Texel it's actually a grass strip, so it's a little bit tougher to find. But as I said, I'm fairly familiar with the area, so I should be able to. He says right before he completely screws it up. I actually just reminded myself that I completely didn't fool around with the mixture at all. I should have really. Especially when we were at 4,000 feet, we should have leaned it quite a bit. Save us fuel, given more performance. So there you see, you shouldn't be talking and flying at the same time. It distracts you. So let's fly a little bit more towards the coast. So let's open up our approach chart to Texel. So right now we are flying right next to that city. It's more, it's not really a city, is it? So we are right now about here. We'll fly around it, around the lighthouse, and then back towards that. So the lighthouse is right over there. Hey there, precisely tuned. How are you? You've come just in time for the landing at Texel. Yeah. It's not exactly a Spitfire, is it? That's got a lot better noise, but it's again, the aircraft is quite useful to show these kinds of things. But yeah, it's neither the fastest, neither the prettiest, nor the best sounding one. So let's have a quick look at the charts. So we should be around here now. So that means we should be able to see the airfields to our right. Can we already see it? We should be able to. It's always good to do a visual inspection before you get to the place. It should be right north of that Burr. So this will be then Burr. Then it should be somewhere here, I guess. I don't see it just now. Oh, over there. This is the grass strip over here. So as I said, we are right now flying here. So we'll continue flying around the lighthouse. Then we'll be flying over the echo point. Then with the Coxthorpe to our right, and then we'll making us straight in towards runway 22. Our runway 22, grass runway 22. Actually, on one of these other islands, a bit further up north, there is actually a live shooting range, where actually the Dutch military go to do their shooting practices with their live ammunition on their aircraft as well. It's actually, there are quite a couple of movies you can find on up on YouTube of F-16s doing drills with their actual live cannons over there. It's pretty cool to see. Obviously, the beach is very much a restricted area because, well, if you be there when they do a drill, then yeah, good luck. So we're actually right now still at full throttle. You'd never be doing this in a jet aircraft of any sort, but this thing really is able to lose speed quite quickly. In other words, it's a brick. So there you can actually see the Coxthorpe, that's right here, and then we'll be flying just past it towards the strip. And you can actually see it there. So you have this little bit of a, yeah, like a bite has been taken out of the island up here. And that's actually also one of the visual references that we'll be using along with the Coxthorpe to our right. So the lighthouse in reality is somewhere here. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, it seems like it's just a mansion. Still, it would be a nice place to live, I think. Apart from it being, well, pretty much very far away from anything lively. Except for a couple of sheep, of course, which are on the island. Again, pissing people off. Very good at that. Yeah, so this is about the bit where you will start losing speed a little bit. Because you will actually, because it's a fairly short field and it's also because it's a grass runway, you want to have a bit more flaps. So normally on a paved runway you would be landing with 10 degrees of flaps. Probably around here you'll want to be doing it with 20, maybe even 30 degrees, we'll see. We go. Oh wow, that's horrible. You can actually see the aerial imagery of the lighthouse over there. Can you see that? You can see the aerial imagery of the lighthouse. And then they plonked a mansion on top of it. Oh boy. Microsoft Flight Simulator things. Anyway, let's focus on the landing. We'll need to lose a bit more speed. We can already turn on our landing lights. So let's first lose a little bit of speed, then we can lower our flaps to 10 degrees. There it is. First notch of flaps. Let's keep it level here. Yep, and we should be turning to the right. It's a pretty aggressive turn, but this thing can handle it. Give it a little bit more throttle, put in the second notch of flaps. The runway is dead ahead. Should be a little bit further to the right. So this is essentially just a visual approach because there are no navigation aids, so no glide slope, no localizer, none of that crap. It's just good old flying. Let's reduce just a little bit of throttle, just to give us a little bit more descent rate. But let's be careful that we don't bleed off too much speed just yet. Let's get a little bit more throttle. Still. Glide path looks pretty okay from here. Seems as though there's a little bit of crosswind. We are just ever so slightly grabbing it, nothing too major. Good. Let's reduce the throttle a little bit. Yep, now you actually see that the VOR is going blank because it can't get the signal anymore because we are now below it. A little bit less throttle as we are a little bit high. Throttle again. Then someone boots up in their airplane. For the magic of simulation, I will ignore that. Oh, hello. He's moving. So it's not even a runway incursion, is it? It is. And here we are. Vessel. airport infrastructure. There is airport infrastructure here in Flight Simulator, so I'm not sure why it's not showing up, as I don't want to drop into a ditch. Let's see what's going on here. Let's open up the VFR map. So what I've been telling you all along not to do, I'm doing right now. It says it's over here there. Okay, interesting. Let's taxi over there then. Oh yeah, there it is. I didn't drift that far off the runway, did I? That's strange. It's gonna be a bit of a dip. So this is Microsoft Rally Simulation. Yeah, I don't think you'll be taking your TBM down to Texel. So there we are. Engage the parking brake, switch off the taxi light. Then we can cut off the mixture. That should stop the engine. Yep, there she is. Then we can turn that one off. We can turn the alternator off. And then we can take the nav, strobe and beacons off. And there we are. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Close the fuel shut-off valve as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll stick around for a little longer in case you've got any questions. That's pretty much basically how you do navigation using automatic direction finding and VR beacons. Again, it was done in the Cessna, in the 152, because it's got the pretty easy avionics suite. But basically, that's also how it's being done in other aircraft. So, as I said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, please feel free to drop me a note if you've got any questions. So,